winter, the things that overwinter outside, they're all Echinocerias, except for a couple of little other things here and there. But these are mostly Cochineos. And if you pop the next picture, oh, that isn't too bad. Here's some more of them. The middle things, the smaller guys, those are all Reichenbuffys. Next. This is where the inside cacti are kept. I built the greenhouse when I moved into Los Alamos 2004. And I'll show you now how I keep the cacti inside there. Next one. This is a warm cloche. There's no active heater. It gets heat from the garage, which is unheated, on one side, and from the greenhouse, which is not allowed to go below 40 degrees in the winter, on the other side. This used to get down to about 20 in some of our colder nights. It rarely gets below freezing. It got below freezing this winter. Here's a shot of what's inside there. I took these pictures last week. You see all the kind of Fascilo cacti over there. Yeah. It was so warm in there that they thought it was kind of cool. And this is the other side. It's six. I'm sorry. The one we just looked at is 3 feet wide with 22 feet long. This is 6 feet wide and 22 feet long. Inside there, I had to take the picture from a different end. This is just the top of it. Next picture. Okay, that's the stuff jammed in there. This guy used to get down to about 10 degrees on a cold winter night, but again, because global warming has completely screwed all kinds of temperature things. And I think it's gotten into the high, or the 18, 19 degrees is about as cold as I remember getting. Okay, next, this is the main greenhouse. It's 14 feet by 22 feet by 10 feet tall. The white stuff you see there are just 1 inch styrofoam to just keep the thing warm in the winter. It doesn't interfere with light and so forth. But that's where all the plants I'm going to show you have spent their time. I decided to start.
I'm wondering how I get to the next folder without killing this thing.
Can you go in and out?
Just do page down.
I couldn't make that work at my machine.
Gary, well, nope, I killed it.
Okay. Oh, I could do it different on my machine. Okay. I want to find September. Somewhere in that same stick is a folder called September.
Oh, I did the same one again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went back at the beginning.
Gary, any ideas on how I bring another folder up?
Oh, another folder?
Yes, every month.
Have it open and share it. Are these all pictures or PowerPoint or what?
No, it's just raw pictures.
Raw JPEGs.
Where does it say?
There must be another. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
September. There you go. The prefixes that you see are on these pictures are because I had to convince my computer when I was putting these into sets to do in my order, not their order. So it's just me arguing with the computer. Anyway, this is September, and actually September has a fair number of plants that keep on flowering. You know, we think about these things as being a big burst in May, June, and then it kind of dribbles away, but not so. These clyster cacti, and I think that this is balmani and maybe tari, yeah, and Tarihensis is the beginning, Balmani is in the back. These have been putting out flowers since about May. And they keep on going until about November, actually. They're outside. Yeah. This is the latest flowering Trichocereus that I have. It's the names aren't there. Well, up there,
Top
they're
left.
there.
Purpureal.
This is Trichocereus purpureal pilosus. I don't know what the purpureal refers to purple. I have no idea what's purple on this plant. But anyway, they've begun to flower. I thought I told you to turn it off. They start to flower in July, end of July, into August. They continue into October, depending on the year. The next one is more of a collection of that pot that you're looking at. It's a 5-inch pot. Most of my plants, my serious plants, are in 5-inch pots because the plant will get big enough to make it really look nice, and it'll flower very nicely also. So this is just 1 year's worth of flowers of this thing at a certain date. Okay, now come the Ferrocacti. This is Ferrocactus and Monocampus. Again, it's one of my seedlings. This one's now about 3 feet tall, or was. This is the coldest tolerant Ferrocactus that I know of. It's from the Big Bend region in Texas. But it starts to flower about midsummer. It just keeps on pushing out flowers until September.
You do okay in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I should say Ralph's had one in his front yard for 10 or 15 years. I can't put them outside where I am. Okay, this is Ferrocactus peninsulae. Something, if you've ever wondered what's going on when you look at the spines, at the big curved spines of Ferrocactus, there are these ridges along there. Those ridges are a day growth ring. Every day that this thing pushes out a spine, there's a ridge that gets put onto the spine. So you can count how old the spine is, but just counting the ridges on the spine. And again, I should tell you, all of the plants you're looking at, they're over 10 years old, and they're all in pot sizes like I was trying to show you here before. They're 5-inch pots, or at the most 6-inch pots.
And do you leave them, do you put them outside during the summer?
Yes. I should.
Greenhouse all year long?
No. I forgot to tell you that. No plant likes being in a greenhouse, not even cacti. These guys get moved out. But the greenhouse I showed you, it's empty by May. It's out in the yard. It's underneath the shade cloth in the yard everywhere. And in September, I start putting it back together again. It takes about 3 full days of me doing this. The reason it takes 3 days is because it's my chance to look at all of them individually. I have to touch them all. So I tend to look at them a lot. Anyway, so okay, this is Ferrocactus. This is Sani, and I picked the seeds. This thing's 40 years old. I picked the seeds in Tucson when I was in grad school. This is a neat cactus. A lot of books have this as a subspecies. This is Herrerae as a subspecies of Visconsani, but it's, I don't think that's true. But it doesn't matter. It had a nice bloom this year apparently. See the bud behind there and so forth. And this is September. And here's another actually Herrerae, different year, maybe the same plant. Had a couple of. And this is Echinocactus grusoni. I've had this thing in flower every month of the year. When I put it inside the greenhouse for the winter, every month it wasn't every all year. It was like this year it bloomed in November. This year it bloomed in December. That year it bloomed in January. But it appears to be totally insensitive to daylight length. It bloom anytime. Oh, and it's also self-fertile sometimes. I've gotten lots of seed off of those flowers if I hit them with a brush. And so other times there's no seeds are produced. This is my one of my oldest cacti. It's about 8 feet tall now. It's the Orosiris calcianus. I used to tell people that I grew this from seed, but I remembered a year or two ago, I actually bought these as seedlings from Vista greenhouses, not in Vista, California, but up in Woodburn, Oregon. But I've kept this thing alive, and some of its mates, for 40 some years, and it grew. Oh, and this thing is at most in a 2-gallon pot.
Still top heavy.
Wow.
You click on you put your finger on the set up professional audio, it won't go away.
I don't know.
How about here? On the right?
Yeah, he's trying. There it is.
Ah,
Okay, great. Okay, and another genus that blooms forever like crazy across the summer, Astrophytum. All of the ones that I've kept all but one of them, I think. They start blooming like my Asterias bloomed last week, and it'll do this every few weeks until November. This is September for those Mary's stigma, but they all bloom sporadically all summer into almost November, into November for some of them. This is Reichenbachii. This is a really neat plant, the whole species. Mesa Garden has about 60 catalog numbers of these things. If you sprinkle yourself across those 60 catalog numbers and look at the names and stuff, you can make yourself a bunch of Reichenbachis that start to flower in about a month and flower over a 2-month period. And I have, I'm not kidding you, I have over 1,000 of these Reichenbachis of various ages, and 1 or 2 of those will bloom in September, and I don't know why.
The same plant every year?
No, I'm sorry. I haven't watched that carefully. I'm going to start watching carefully. This is a neat species that's a puzzle to me. This is Echinocerius chiselensis. I can't see the name because Phobianus. This, you see the size of the plant there. That thing is about 4 inches tall and 1 inch in diameter, maybe. I've had a flower off of this thing pretty much every month in the summer, starting about now past September. It's the only Echinocerius that I know of that does that. I'm trying to hybridize a bunch of Echinocerius, looking for other plants of the genus that will also bloom sporadically everywhere, late in the year, etc. Most Echinocerius plants bloom early. Very few, if any, go very late. This is the only one I know of offhand. And of course, this is one of my hybrids. I have no idea how I made these things, but when I came to Los Alamos, I built the greenhouse. I had about 150 plants, and they started to bloom. And I just took a brush and I just zapped them all this way, that way, et cetera, et cetera. If any seeds were formed, I planted the seeds. And I got all kinds of really neat stuff this way, but I have no idea how I made them. This is neat. It's a very small plant with a very big flower. This is Echinopsis hybrid Maria Piazza that I think Ralph dragged into the area here a few years ago. It's a wonder to me because it's got the magenta flower and it blooms so late in the year. I'm going to mess with hybridizing this guy further to make some more different kinds of Echinopsis trichoserius crosses. And again, this is September. September also is the downside of the Coryphantha bloom. Coryphanthas don't flower, most of them. A few do earlier, but most of them don't start until, the ones I have anyway, until about middle of July. There's a burst in August, and then they taper off into September. Some I think all my plants bloom at least one period than just the initial one. This is one of the bigger blooms I've ever had for the genus. Well, that's Coryphantha radians. I'll have a bunch of pictures where it says Coryphantha species. I don't know what they are. I think they're all radians that are coming up. Radiance has both no central spines and central spines. And even some Gymnocalypsium will bloom it into September. I like this one because it's red. Most gymnos have white flowers, or most ones I've kept. There's about 3 or 4 red ones, or maybe 5. And it's just neat to have them around. I guess that who's on date on this. Oh, when some of my names have dates, but this top black thing is hiding the dates. Can't be helped. I told you about the Neoporterias that come into bloom after the small flowered guys. This is Curvaspina. I think the Mesa Garden catalog used to list about 10 different subspecies of Neoporteria curvaspina. Cutterman, the guy who lumped everything together, has written somewhere, by the way, all of those subspecies are good species. He erased the curvaspina name. I like this one very much because of the coppery color of the flower. And it's about the biggest Neoporteria flower that I've ever seen.
And it opens wide.
Yeah, very wide. And now, because it's September, I decided to throw in some mesems. This is Pleiospilos simulans. It starts to bloom in September, and this is a typical frondy mesem flower. Next picture, it's the same flower 13 days later. All of them, I should say all, but the mesems that I have, many of them, as they age, they get longer in the petals and get stringy. This is Stapelia hirsuta, for an obvious reason. Hirsuta, of course, means hairy. This is hairy. They start in September. I just have them underneath the bench, and they flower, and I just totally ignore them. I have to remember to water them occasionally. Again, another Stapelia. I didn't run across a picture of Antea, but there's a huge flower where it's a foot across. These are about 5-6 inches. And also starting in September, you've got the beginning of the lithops. A bunch of them. This is fulviceps. It starts the earliest of the ones I have, then it builds up to something in November and then drops off. And there's a few more that dribble in for another month. But anyway, this may be one plant that's in a 4-inch pot. No, it's 2.5-inch pot. I'm sorry. You put a couple of those in a pot and wait a few years. They just spread everywhere and get bigger and bloom. Every single double leaf will have a flower coming out of it.
That's the last one.
Okay.
That's the last
Next
one.
folder.
Better at this.
Oh, good. October. Hey, wow, we're close. November, go backwards. October. Okay. This is another Newman plant, which I've lost since then. I like the plant because, again, it's the only yellow gymno that I know about. There may be another one or two, I don't know. But it's for such a small plant, it's got a huge flower, and then it died.
What is the plant?
Gymnocalypsium Andreae.
The names are in the top left corner.
The top left corner has at least the genus at the beginning of the species. I'm sorry. Here's Astrophytum mysterious in November, or in October rather. It can be as late as November. And again, all the Astrophytums will bloom all spring, summer, fall. Here's one of the few coryphanthus that isn't yellow. This is Elephantidens. It's the biggest flower of them all. This is in a 5-inch pot. You can't quite see the pot, so this is a big plant and a big flower. I had 8 of these to start with after my sowing 100 seeds, and I'm down to 1. I lose it rather easily, I guess. It took some years, but I can't keep them alive. This is another one that's a marvel to me. Cactus Magnificus. If you go into the wild, or if you go into California, you'll see these about 2 feet tall or so. Mine are, again, in a 5-inch pot. They're pretty big, and I've had them flower any time from April till November. I don't know why, whatever reason they flower. And this is my favorite Neoporteria. It's Velosa. I'll give it the Spanish pronunciation because I'm sure the people named it didn't speak Spanish. But anyway, I like it a lot because of the spines. I've got about 2 dozen of these. And in that population of 2 dozen, I get flowers from October until now and later. It's always one member of the population starts flowering and goes for about a month. The flowers, I've not had them bloom all at once. The first one I ever had, I actually had a flower at every areole, and the whole plant was just flaming red at Thanksgiving, and then it died. And that's the end of it. Anyway, this is clavata. It's a new plant for me. Again, the typical winter blooming Neoporteria. And here's subgibosa. There's a bunch of subspecies of this thing in the catalogs. I don't know what made them subspecies, but again, it's got this typical Neoporteria pattern of really gorgeous spines and long-lasting flowers. And it'll have flowers all across the winter. And again, I want to tell you, I don't really heat my greenhouse in the winter, except that I don't want it to freeze. So these flowers for these plants can take cold conditions every night for months, no problem. And they keep on flowering. And by the way,
get about 32, say, or what?
no, I try for 40. It may drift down to 35 in a really cold night, but 40 is about where the limit is mostly. Okay, here's Turbinicarpus. This is a really neat genus. There's, I don't know, 2 dozen plants in it, maybe. They're all small, and there's a confusion with Gymnocactus. The name goes back and forth. People call it one or the other to avoid some federal law. I can't keep it straight. But the Gymnocactus can be much bigger. The Turbinicarpus, which I've had now for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, they all fit in a 2.5-inch pot. And they bloom all winter long. One plant will bloom over a 2-month period, having flowers every week or 2 or 3, whatever. And this is of course Arecarpus fissuratus. The population is down in the Big Bend of Texas. Arecarpus is a typical fall blooming genus, and fissuratus blooms October 10th or thereabouts. If you want to see the height of the bloom, and Steve turned me on this when I asked him, run down there October 10th and look around. They'll be everywhere.
There's millions of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Steve did a population study. You know, these are actually, people are thinking, should they be on a protected species list? I think Steve told me that he estimated the population for the park service some years ago at 50 million in the park.
That's correct. Just 50 million in the park.
In the park. And there's a lot of stuff outside the park, which is much better kept because maybe you don't know this, but the park was held by some cattle people for a long time. They grazed the crap out of the park, And when it was totally worthless for anything else, they gave it to the federales and said, here, you can have this for a national park. So there's so much, the West has been damaged beyond belief by usually foreigners coming into the West, buying the land, running cattle for 10 or 15 years, making a fortune and going back and leaving everything all overgrazed. These huge forests of choyas and prickly pears you see driving around in Colorado and New Mexico, that's all the overgrazed land. They weren't there before. Okay, so this is my Astrophytum asteria super cabuto. This is actually funny. I bought seeds from Steve about 15 years, maybe 10 years ago for just Astrophytum asterius, and this was a weed in there. Okay. I lost every single one of the other ones. And this plant has been alive for over 10 years. It blooms 8 or 10 times over the summer, spring, fall, and I can't kill it.
Lucky.
Yes, I know. This is a neat Ferric cactus. I had this plant in a 4-inch pot, 3.5-inch pot for a number of years, and I never saw flower. I put it into a 5-inch pot, and after 1 year, this is what happened. It doubled in size and started having flowers. These start in October, and they go for 2 months. Those buds tend to open 1 or 2 at a time. I've not so far seen all of them at once. They stagger over the 2 months. And here's Matakana. These also flower anytime. They come from Peru, which is fairly close to the equator. They're not that sensitive to sunlight or something. But I've had in the winter greenhouse when the night temperature goes under 40, I've had any number of the species of Matakana blooming. And something else I want to say. I've had people ask me how come my plants flower so much. Quickie story. A bridge player admired my cactus pictures. So I said, "You want some plants?" She said, "Sure." So I gave her like 12 or 15 plants, and in the spring, and they flowered for her. Next year in the summer, I asked her, "Well, how was the flower show this year?" Flower show? What flower show? The cactus. They didn't flower. Did you fertilize them? Fertilize them? Who said to fertilize them? If you want lots of flowers, even for your cacti in the ground, fertilize them. The fertilization makes the flower. This is Kalianka of Matakana, and again, this is October. It's blooming away. It could bloom in September, who knows, or November. It's a really neat genus. And here's, you probably all think that Matakana Haney has red flowers or reddish orange flowers. There's actually this kind of a pinky purple or purpley pinky, I don't know. There's another color coming up. And you all think that these things are about as big as a fist. Oops, no, I guess it wasn't there. That's okay. That's it. Okay, sorry. Anyway, I've had Matakana Haney 2 feet tall with branches, and then it died. But people think that our plants don't die. They look at these things and I've had for 40 years. Wow, it's pretty good. You didn't see the 50,000 that died. I planted that. Oh God. Anyhow, I tossed in the jade picture of the buds. This is what if you want a blooming jade, put it outside in the spring after the last frost, and it'll sit there and just make these red edge leaves. Fertilize it, water it every day. Do not let it dry out. Water it. The bigger the pot is, the bigger the plant gets. And this is serious. You'll see how big the pot is for this plant. In October, the buds start coming out at the apical meristems, and every meristem gets this series of buds, and those trusses become anywhere from 30 to 50 flowers. You'll see the result. Another. Okay, here we're back to the mesems again. Von Herdia, Primosi. It's just the mesems are something that are really worth growing because they're really cheery in the late fall, winter. There are these flowers coming out. This is one of the milkweeds, like the Stephelias. This is tiny. It also stinks. I finally figured out why I think that my Stephelias and these guys lose their smell. Doris is pointing out to me that my sense of smell is gone.
On a warm, still day, they stink.
Here's a Fucaria. There are about 4 plants here. They're in a 2.5 inch square pot. Again, they're just so reliable. And October is Ceres Mesem month. Didn't have
This is Marmorata.
Marmorata?
Yeah.
Oh, that means marmor, cement. Only because it's gray. Okay, Marmorata. Maybe 1 plant. This is for sure 1 plant. I mean, when you have this nice symmetrical pattern like that, 1 plant was there 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and it just went divide, 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 and it'll keep on doing this. Paris Montana Bella.
Do you fertilize the lithops?
I fertilize everything. Think about this. Seriously, you got this plant in a pot. It eats something, it's in the pot. When it runs out of food, where does it go for food? Nowhere. You have to feed it.
What's the dosage? Full or fractional?
Oh God, no, fractional. My typical, I tend to fertilize when I water. I never go below 1/8 of a teaspoon per gallon of 20 or something like that. 10, 15, 14, 18, who cares? But on top of that, I use the dry fertilizer that has trace elements. If you get the Peters 20 peat light, if you can find that even, that has double or triple trace elements in there for having potted plants, keeping potted plants.
Say,
Hello.
when they are like that, with a whole bunch of different plants, can you cut them up and split them?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can take just one of the leaves there.
what's that?
You can just take one of the leaves.
Oh, okay.
It comes up in 2s. Take one of them, slice.
And they just root.
Yeah, they'll root. They want to live.
Steve, or
Yeah.
you can get Peter's fertilizer from Amazon. They call it Jax.
Yeah. Jax became the new name for it. You can still find it as Peters occasionally too, but Jax is it. Yeah.
You get a 30-pound bag for not too bad.
Yeah. It used to be $25, but I think it's gone way up, probably 50 now. Anyway, I put this picture in here. I live underneath the Crane Flyway. The Rio Grande it's down. The Rio Grande is like 800 feet below me in the gorge, but the birds come along that, and it turns out that where my house is, it's always a place where they find thermals. So when they come past me, they stop and I hear, and these guys are just swirling around over my house. When I see these in the fall, I know the winter's going to come.
Yep. I guess that's it.
Yeah,
This folder.
Do you have trouble with cactuses splitting when
Yes.
you fertilize?
No, I have no idea why this split. It just happens. But you know, I maybe I see 2 or 3 splittings in a year out of 20,000 plants. I don't even notice it. I discovered this a long time ago. If you have a lot of plants, you don't care if they die.
Weird stuff.
Just need more plants.
Okay, so here's a jade plant. It might even be the same jade that I took took the flower, the bud picture of, it's only starting now. See, out of that bud thing that you saw, this truss forms out. You see how every one of those things develops a flower. I had one of these about 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide some years back. Estimated that there were 50,000 flowers. So you see the size of the pot again. We'll go back if you can, Steve. That's a 5-inch pot. Okay. If you don't want the plant to get bigger, don't repot it.
Or prune it.
Or prune it. Just plants are super sensitive to the size of the root ball. It's not the pot size. It's just there's a 1-to-1 correlation between pot size and the root ball size. But that's the whole thing. Is it's the root ball size. Okay, so Christmas cactus. There is a tremendous industry of Christmas cacti where the growers have figured out how to treat them with light and cover so that if they put them in the stores right after Thanksgiving, they start flowering. And the day after Christmas, they're yanked off the shelves if there are any left, and they're thrown away. And that's the whole season for Christmas cacti. But if you buy 1 or 10, or like I did, and just have them sitting around, they flower across 3 months in the winter. This, I think, is a plant that Margaret gave me a piece of her plant. You'll see what's happened to it. It just, this is actually the commercial plant. They're using a lot of quar. I can't pronounce that with that. Core. C-O-I. Well, what's the I doing there if you're going to say core? Your English language, I had to learn this thing. I used to speak German and read it. It's really crazy. In German, it's all pronounced the same. There isn't any goofiness about it. Okay, so anyway, this is a plant I bought, and I noticed, I'm pretty sure that all of the commercial potting mixtures now for Christmas cacti is this core. The reason being, you must maintain an acidic soil for Christmas cacti. They're epiphytic. They're like orchids. If you keep them the way you keep orchids, it'll work because they live with orchids. When I water these, it's always with vinegar added to the water. And the coir does not have any pH properties. And there are just more of these things for Christmas cacti. I spent all the summer looking at these, but this is November. See, this has gotten quite a bit bigger. But again, this is Margaret's gift to me for 2 or 3 years later. And you can buy these, you buy a pot that's got 2 colors in it. Of course, it's just planted in. The reason this is neat is because you can now make seeds out of this. Because you have 2 different plants because they're the same, different colors. I bet you could not find 2 white Christmas cacti anywhere in the country and cross them and get a seed out of it. These have been cloned so much for so long. They're like 4 or 5 colors that they sell, and that's it. With the commercial guys. Here's that same Astrophytum mysterious super kabuto blooming sometime here. November, right? Yeah. Okay. Here's again a Neoporteria villosa in November, pushing out buds. And this is, I think, the same plant a month later in a 2.5-inch pot. Here's the Latispinas where it just proved me a liar. The guys are blooming like crazy.
Normally it's staggered.
Yeah, normally it's staggered. Here's another survivor from my Newman's nursery bunch, one of the 5 that survived. This Mammillaria plumosa, it's quite a bit bigger now. It's about 5 inches across. This will bloom for 3 or 4 months in the winter. This is great.
If you put it in a big pot, it'll get really huge.
Yeah, and I know, but I want to keep it in a 5-inch pot. This is, again, some more lithops. I don't know, Cars Montana probably. But again, it used to be one plant, and it's just split and become, there's 5 heads on it. It's still one plant, sorry, with 5 heads. This is a great plant, Titanopsis calcarea. You know that name there in Latin and Greek, it says chalk. I never could figure out why, but the heck.
It grows in chalk soil.
It's got to be that. It doesn't look like chalk.
You should see them when you grow them outside here. They really color up.
Well, anyway, these things can stand 10 below zero, 20 below zero. They're up in Los Alamos, so they were there when I lived up on top. I just plant now. I had this past winter now. I think it had 50 flowers in it.
You know, if you make seed, you can have 10,000.
I choose what to choke on. I don't know when where I got this, and it's died since then, but it's kind of a neat plant. You must also do the thing like the never mind. Anyway, another winter flowering.
They behave just like lithops,
Yeah.
only they live in drier habitats.
What on earth could be drier than?
No, these guys live where it's harsher than where lithops
Harsher?
do. Yes, harsher.
It's impossible. Oh, well, this is what I wanted to show you. I'm not going to give you an ad for Nikon cameras, okay? I'm sorry about that, but you really should know. You've seen these flower pictures, right? You've seen that there are a lot of close-ups. You know, that's like, an inch or two or whatever, right? That's the moon. The same camera took this picture as the flower pictures
Same lens.
with the same lens. And on top of it, it's handheld.
New cameras are great.
Let me tell you, this camera 30 years ago, I could have gotten $1 million for it. Easily. Because I'm standing in my backyard, I see the moon, I grab my camera, I very carefully hand hold it. This is the full frame inside the camera, like all the rest of my pictures. And I took it, and I think you can see clearly the craters here are in focus. This guy here, this lens, okay, that lens is a 3-meter lens. 40 years ago, I would have seen this as a tube 9 or 10 feet long. I don't know how they did that.
Japanese are clever.
Yes, they are, but the laws of optics are the laws of optics. They have to be bouncing this thing back and forth to make a path of 10 feet. But what about the losses when on the surface, when you go from one surface to the next surface? Backyard, no special lighting, whatever the moonlight was, black. And internally, vibration reduction. I handheld a 10-foot lens and got the focus. If you don't want to hold a 2-pound camera or whatever it is, this is iteration of the design 2 cameras before that. This is a one meter lens.
You're gonna have to give it to Steve so he can hold it up in front of the camera.
No, it's locked onto the internal.
Okay, anyway, this is like, almost an iPhone as far as weight. And you can take pictures. Of course, the close-ups are the same problem, but you can take some pretty neat pictures of faraway things.
But Sig, if you go to modern cameras with frame stacking.
Anyhow, this is the so-called.
Why does it do that?
And by the way, I'm really a technician at the lab. I asked him 10 years ago about the modern cameras. And he said, "Oh, buy this P80 Nikon."
Sid, back to the audience.
Yeah, come on.
Audience.
You've lost the audience.
Come back. Okay, anyhow, we're back. You can't believe how good these cabinets are.
No, you still have 6 people.
Oh, thank you, Mom. Okay, this is,
Not.
okay, Fascilo Cactus is another species or genus rather that can have flowers pretty much all year. I bought a bunch of seeds from Mesa Garden with some of Fascilo Cactus crispatus. I grew them up. After a couple of years, they were bigger than golf ball, maybe baseball size. And that group of 5 plants had 4 blooming periods starting in early spring into December. They're just amazing. I figured out that this is the wrong name. It says Monocampus up there.
It could be right.
I don't think so. It doesn't look right to me.
The flower's weird, but
Yeah, the flower is weird, and actually the ribs aren't quite sharp enough. I think it's actually another crispatus. But anyway, there's about, well,
There are 10,000 names.
if you look in the 3 most modern books on Fascilo Cactus, they all copied each other. They're all full of lies. It's amazing how nobody knows anything about this genus. There are about 50 names for the thing, but there probably are more than the 6 or 7 species that are recognized. This is crispatus. Apparently 2 different colors are in that species. And here's my friend Neoparteria villosa again. You can see how shaggy it gets, and the flowers displays just really amazing. Here's Monocampus Yawarnigi. Its flowers just keep on coming. And back to the Christmas cactus. Again, this picture was taken with that camera. Let's take a picture of the moon. You have a pollen grain over there that you can make out. This is an orange one. I can't remember where I got this. It wasn't commercial. Commercial, you get white, magenta, reddish maybe another one, and that's it. Yeah, realistically, you can have Christmas cacti blooming across 3 months in the winter. It's because actually they're hybrids of other genera and species actually, and no one really knows what the heck is going on, what the origin is, etc. But they're really neat plants. Here's a Staphylia asterius in December. Actually, I had them into January this year.
But they're never in my house.
No. Here, well, and by the way, that you don't need a great big plant to get flowers. A couple of years ago, I took a cutting, just one piece of it, in the spring, and I rooted it, and that fall it made 3 or 4 flowers out of the whole thing. Here's Caridopsis denticulata. Caridopsis, by the way, is a really great genus for winter flowers. They're about 3 inches across, 2.5 to 3 inches across, and
all different colors too.
they're all of mine have turned out to be yellow.
Aaron had some pink.
There's all different colors.
Here's another Lithopscaris montana in December. Again, you see that. Look at the petals and the flowers. They were about half that long the day they opened, and they just grew. It was time. Here's that same lithops plant. Yeah, it's in a 5-inch pot in this picture, but now it totally covers the pot. This is a mesendite. Rabia, okay. I think it's self-fertile. I cut off all the other growths here, and I've only pollinated the flowers this year with a brush and only make sure to only pollinate with itself. And I'm getting seed.
These are super cold hardy. They can go down to about 20 below zero.
Wow.
Wow.
And they're blooming like crazy outside.
I've had plants outside blooming. They started blooming at Christmas and they're still flowering. They've been flowering continuously. And if it gets down to zero, it does not harm the flower. The flower still makes seeds.
Do they like extra water?
Yes, in the spring, like March, April, May, they like water.
What's the species?
Like now.
Rabia.
Rabia.
That's a genus.
Rabia is the genus. The species looks like Deformis.
But probably one is that cold hardy. The other ones are too.
Yeah, the whole genus is super cold hardy.
Now here, this might be that same jade plant. If you keep these guys, if you put these in the house when they start flowering, when the buds break, they'll last about 5 weeks in your house. If you keep them colder, not at 75 or whatever, 72, the colder you keep them, the longer the flowers last. Steve told me last year his lasted over 3 months because he kept his up in this cold room. He's got extra hours.
They're still going strong. They started flowering in the middle of November. So
it's March.
it's like 4 months of constant flowers.
4 months of it. It's just amazing. And all you got to do to keep this going is put them outside after the last frost, water and feed like crazy, and take them back inside before the next frost.
Well, Sig, I think we have time for one more month.
Okay. January, that'll be all right. And just to show you that I'm not a one-trick pony, I'm at least a 5-trick pony over here. It just takes no skill at all. Just take a cutting,
Wow.
root it, stick it in the ground, it's no problem.
2 skills: no artificial light other than sunlight, and cold at night.
Maybe. I don't even bother. I used to put them in the house and I had the lights on constantly. It didn't bother.
Are those all seedlings?
No, they're cutting.
No, the ones on the tray.
Oh,
So yeah, go back.
yeah,
See the tray there?
yeah.
So cactus seedlings.
When I told you I had 20,000 plants, I was kidding you. If you count all my little baby guys that I got right now, it's 40,000. But in a tray that size, when I plant these guys, these are seeds. In each tray, I plant 200 seeds times 32. That's 6,400 seeds. Germination rate's about 50 to 70%. So in a 1 foot by 2 foot space, I've got 4,000 plants. You can get lots of cactus really fast. This is my neoporterias again. There's a burst of them coming here because it's January. That's a nice little collection of things, but you can't tell them apart by the flowers, at least I can't. This is a little different flower, but you have to see them a lot to learn the characteristics. Subgibosa, I'm not really sure that's true. The subgibosa, again, the subspecies is gone because of the black thing. Here's my friend Bilosa again. One of the plants I have is super duper spiny like this. And I'm trying to breed the species for these long spines. I've been crossing them and trying to make offspring and so forth. Maybe it'll come out to be okay. But see the buds just scattered around the back there. I guess this guy's gotten a little older, but anyway, it's a really nice plant. It's just a pretty surface. Oh, here we are. Kind of Fascilo Cactus. This is now getting to be their time. If any warmth at all, and they start trying to grow. This is Erectocentris. You won't find this name, I think, anywhere in the literature about these guys. Mesa Garden has at least like 25 different numbers on this guy. I can't tell the difference easily between this and Philocampus, although I have noticed Erectrocentris, the major spines do this away from the center of the plant. Phyllocanthus tend to do this.
That's
toward
it.
the center.
That's it.
That's it? That's all it is?
And the number of radials.
Oh, the number of radials baloney, they all the same.
Well,
Well, if you
Press on.
if you
We'll
do
talk about
statistics, yeah,
some of
okay,
the-
okay, sorry. Okay, here's another erectocentris. They really are different. You know, it's not like they're really similar. I mean, I've got half a dozen of these or more, and they are not the same. The way they appear. This is Zacateccaensis. It's one of the easier ones to spot because it's got about 10 radials and then straight out central spine. It's just a really nice plant. The books tell you that Zacateccaensis, which is this, and Multicostatus, which you'll see, I think, in the next one, where it's got 150 ribs, are synonymous.
yeah, I've seen that so many times. It's a joke.
How on earth could anybody write that? That's ever
That's
seen?
because in Europe, nobody saw the true multicostatus.
It is so crazy. Yeah, see here, what do you think that plant's the same as the other one?
No,
I mean, the spines are different, the flowers are different, the ribs are different. What else is there? Oh, Weingartia is another species or genus that I would recommend to you for early flowers and late flowers. They're among the first. Given a chance, they will start to flower as early as possible. I just think they're great. Another Weingartia, the Coriensis. This is a pretty big flower. It's the biggest one I know of. Back to Turbinocarpus now, Bonazzi. All of mine are in 2¼ square pots. You could keep a dozen of them on a windshield if you want to have them in the winter. Lophophoroides. The name means this looks a coyote to me. Not even close. A grown coyote. This isn't even
you
close.
said what word?
Huh?
Coyote?
Yes,
Coyote.
but in
Oh,
nature,
coyote.
this thing grows in mud flats and they're flat.
With
Oh,
no spines.
Then we have a possibility. I can see it.
Say
Yeah.
we have a new viewer just logged in,
Oh, good. Who is it?
Rebecca.
oh, Rebecca. I don't think she ever has a picture.
This is Turbinocarpus spidicianus. I've got 2 of these. I've had them for 10 years. They're not very big. They're bigger than a golf ball. And I've had flowers constantly, and I've never gotten a single seed out of them. The 10s.
Should work.
Yeah, I know, but you know, the sexual incompatibility that people worry about with people is all across nature. You don't necessarily, just because 2 individuals are gonna mate, doesn't mean anything's gonna happen.
Right.
I mean, among people, it's like what, 20% are sterile? Here we are again with Margaret's yellow Christmas cactus. Well, this one's grafted. Here's another one. She's part of my cactus lord lessons. You all have probably seen the name Escobara vivipara. You wonder what does that mean? Vivipara means live birth. How in the heck do you get live birth? Well, this is about the 12th cactus I've had, where I open the fruit for the seeds, and there are sprouted seeds inside the fruit. This is vivipara. Here's Pleostylos Nelly. This is a grand plant. It blooms over more than a month, and the flowers just keep on getting bigger and bigger. It's a great genus. Glotophyllum herrei. Glotophyllum means leaf like a tongue, but most leaves look like tongues. I don't know why this is special. Anyway, and Ruschia gemina, a neat little plant in a small pot. You get flowers over several weeks. What's the gemina part? It's just because it has
I don't know what that
Is
is.
that one pole barn in here?
I've never tried it. I don't know.
It might be.
What, the one just
Roost
before
is
this?
Well, the roof I have is, that's one of the best growing lessons I have, so yeah.
Yeah, I've got.
But it says a small pink flowers, I'm not
Right.
sure what that one is called.
Wow.
And here's one I don't know. It's
Odontophorus.
doesn't matter. It's something, anything. Yeah, anyway, there's like 2,000 or more of the mesons, and they're all worth fiddling with. And they all stay small. Well, I'm sorry, no. There's a whole class of them that get these shrubby and bushy. Just don't grow those. Grow the little ones.
That's it, Sig.
That's it? Okay.
Sig, I think we're gonna end the Zoom session because the show and tell doesn't work for Zoom.
Okay.
So
Well, if you
Bye,
just stop
Bill.
the screen share and then let him hold up the cactuses in front of the TV.
Or if you wanted to, I could put my camera phone on him and you do it on.
if you know how to do it,
Yeah, just let me in.
I don't know how to do it. But folks in the audience, that's the end of Sig's presentation. Thanks very much, Sig.